I had no idea the state of disarray that some of these sites were in. I mean, there's that one site with the one you spoke about earlier with like the
I know.
8 kilometers of looting, and
It's incredible.
you're there and you're standing in, like, as far as my eye can see, I'm standing in mummies that have been torn apart and pieces of pottery, and you can't help but be affected by it, and so I was like, I recognize this place on the satellite, and this is what was there. So this other place kind of looks like that from the satellite. Let me go check it out. And it's the same thing. There's just so
Hmm.
much history there that is um, being lost and being understudied. And the amount of sites at some of these places that you can see the adobe bricks. You can see a
Yeah.
wall of adobe bricks buried under the sand, and then from the drone you can see the outlines of the architecture, and it's like, oh man, if if the funding was there, you know what I mean?
I know. Yeah, yeah. I could see your joy and excitement there, like because like it just. I, I was picking up a sense of we'll call it like a little bit of urgency, like let's get a look at this stuff before it's gone, but also like joy and wonder. I mentioned that before. But also excitement. You looked like kind of edge of your seat, like some
Hey,
give me the money, I will do it for you.
yep,
Somebody hook it up, right?
yep.
And so I really love that about it. But was I right? Were those, and if would you be able to add like any other emotions that you feel like when you're standing at a site like that NAZCA site and you're just like, this is no one's gonna know this exists in 100 years.
Yeah, there is a level of disbelief
Uh-huh.
when you're like, it's not something you can turn away from.
Mm.
You can't, because you're standing in the middle of it,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
um and I also just had my personal connection to Peru. I have this kind of deep sense of belonging isn't the right word, but
Mm-hmm.
history, and so there's just something in my soul, like when I'm down
Sure.
there, and
Yep.
it's some sort of connection, and I don't think you need to have that to experience these subsequent feelings when you're at a site like that. But
No.
there's a level of heartbreak,
Mm-hmm.
disbelief, shock,
Mm-hmm.
hopelessness,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and just how how does this exist?
Mm-hmm.
How does I like, and the other, disgust too, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the savagery with in the way that some of these mummies were exhumed, and just literally torn apart. Savage is the word that comes to mind, and so it's but then, and I've only kind of started recently sharing about this on uh, podcasts and such, but when I would leave these sites after the fact, there's like this weird communion with these sites. When, I mean, I'm all alone, and this could be completely made up in my head, 100% made up, but I experienced that, especially at sites like this with the remains. But there was like this weird reciprocal thanks. Like, I was grateful to be able to have captured this, to have documented it, to have witnessed it, and knowing that I was going to present it to the world. But there also felt like this reciprocal thanks coming from the site
Mm-hmm.
itself, um, where it's like, I don't know, thank you for honoring us, or
Mm-hmm.
thank you for taking the effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it could be, but I felt that each and every time.
Raul, I don't think that's made up in your head, my man. I think I think sites in buildings. This is just a personal belief, but like, you know, in everything they retain, you know, memory in some way that we don't quite understand. And when you, especially if it's a site like that, where you're removing, you're away, you're like by yourself, you're away from all the other people, you're away from all the other technology and stuff. There's nothing, you know, interrupting that flow of transfer of energy and communication. And that seems like something I'd be grateful for if I was like 10,000 years later, you were at my site and you were going, holy shit, some guy lived here? What the hell? And you're writing it down. You're like, I got to tell everyone about this. I'd be at that. I'd be like laying there going, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's,
so
I mean, that captures it very well. And I would feel the same way too.
yeah, because no one wants to be forgotten, man.
No,
that's why it's emotional.
And it's like also just to go along those lines, the level of looting is just brutal.
Can you tell me about that? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I
mean, it's
like,
probably better for me to show you some pictures.
Okay, let's take a look at a couple. And Brittany, make a timestamp. So, is this looting that we're talking about? Like just like a certain one act, or is it over a bunch of time, or certain types of certain people that did it, or what happened?
So the majority of looting has there's a quote. Here you can see,
man.
I mean, that was a mummy. It used to be wrapped up, and you can tell from the trash when it happened. And so the quote I was able to find was, there's been more looting in the past 2 decades of the 20th century. So, you know, the past 40 years, than the prior 500 years since Spanish conquest.
What?
So like, yeah, there's been, and you can tell from the trash too, because there's modern, not modern trash. You can like cigarettes that they don't make anymore, or soda bottles that they don't, or
right.
Newspapers with dates, you know, that are there at the sites.
Correct.
So it's been modern looting. I can't say that, you know, the Spanish didn't, you know, do something like this, but from what I saw, a lot of it looked recent.
So
it's just, you know,
like a recent, like, so, and we're talking historical context, talking, like you said, like 140 to 100 years, something along those lines.
Oh, no. When I say recent, I mean 1980s, 90s, and 2000s.
Oh, like literally like bubblegum. I'd remember bubblegum wrappers and stuff. Ouch.
Yep.
Hey, see, at that point, we should have been smarter than that. But at the same time, I don't know what was going on, like in the country of Peru at the time.
So
politically or geopolitically or whatever. So,
I mean, that's the other thing too. I'll just show this one thing and then I can close it up. But this was, and all these videos are on YouTube.
We'll link them all below too.
But this is just each of these holes is a looting pit, and so what we just saw was, and this goes on for 8 kilometers. I mean, it's just it goes on this entire ridge. It's unreal. I was just like, how many people lived here? You know what I mean? Like, was this generational? Was this you know, was there a war or a battle, or, you know, like, and this is all like NAZCA era too. You can tell from the artifacts.
Yeah. What does the government, like, what role does the government take, the Peruvian government, in preservation? I know that kind of, you didn't start like with like going like, I'm gonna champion preservation of these sites, but you kind of are now, aren't you?
I mean, that's absolutely one of the things it evolved into. And I think what happens first is with awareness. You know, just if people are aware that this is happening, then some real change can happen. You know, I don't want to talk poorly about the government, but I don't know, over the last, I don't know, 100 years, 7 or 8 of the last presidents have been arrested for fraud and corruption, and I mean, so there's so much political stuff going on that this kind of falls on the wayside.
Oh, probably way on the wayside.
And I mean, I also do think there's so many archaeological sites and unfortunately so many places like this to be able to police it all. That I mean, that's a tall order in and of itself. I do think I 100% think more should be spent and more could be spent. But I also do recognize that there are so many sites in Peru. It's unreal.
Well, I learned that recently making friends with my new friend Aaron from Megalithic Mysteries. Do you know him, Aaron Hines?
I've seen him on here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and have you seen our new show, Breaking Ancient News?
That's what I mean. That's what I've seen you guys.
Yeah,
doing.
so he has. I don't know exactly because I'm not honest. But he's been putting out 2 videos a week of just sites in Peru because he spent 2 years just going to sites that tourists don't usually go to, and sites that he had either heard of, like he found or heard of through Brian Forster or. Just hearsay, talking to people, and people go, "Oh, have you ever seen this one? It's way over there." So he says he has 2 years worth of videos to put out 2 videos a week of sites, and I'm like, how is that possible?
No, there's I'll get up if we take a break here, and I'll bring my maps and I'll show you because I'm in the process of planning the next expedition.
Okay,
it's coming up in just a few weeks.
Okay.
So quick plug for that. It still needs support. There's a GoFundMe. I will help make sure it's available.
Link down below.
This just to touch on that, this upcoming expedition has taken on a form beyond what I expected. I'm actually doing it with Graham Langdon, who wrote who traveled the world capturing all the naval statues. Yep. So I met Graham at the Cosmic Summit, and we started talking, and so we are doing this joint expedition together, and it's just.
I'm only laughing because you look so excited.
All these points are things I've mapped out, places to go. I've had to print it out so I can figure out how much time it takes to. I mean, maps. I mean,
wow.
And so. And these we're going to vastly different regions, everything from the desert on the coast to, I mean, this is why I'm pitching the GoFundMe. I mean, I've just found out we're going to need some heated clothing and stuff. We're going out there.
So these aren't necessarily undiscovered. They're just very low-level documentation.
Low-level documentation. I mean, one of the things the channel has morphed into trying to champion is being able to provide the modern
visual
media.
Too.
Yeah, the modern media of these sites. And because a lot of them I found, antiquarians at the time, the predecessors to archaeologists when in the early 1900s, when they were exploring things, they were kind of treasure hunting and so they would go through and find all these sites and talk to the locals and jot it down and excavate a little bit, try to get a date on something, find some pottery, look for treasure, and then move on. And some of these sites haven't been documented since then. Some of them haven't been documented since the 70s. And so there's the Ministry of Culture, I will say, has done a great job of notating the archaeological sites. So many of them remain unexcavated. There's just so much to explore in them.
Yeah,
there's just too many. There's not the money, the time, the funding, the people willing to go to these places and stay in these places to do full excavations. But there's other sites here from this upcoming expedition that are there are no labels, are no place markers. They look like archaeological sites to me, and like I said, from the last expedition, I got pretty good at identifying those. And so, I mean, I'm excited though, because some of these places, there's megalithic architecture with carvings that remind me of Göbekli Tepe, and so this is going to be a big one.
Ramping up. Well, that just got me really excited. You looked like I don't know. It just reminded me of like, I don't know, like an adventure from like 100 years ago with a bunch of maps. Like, we gotta go.
Dude.
You know, let's do this.
So I was funny. I was talking to Graham a few days ago. When I close my eyes and when I go to sleep, I see terraces.
Subscribe to Mike and Dave's Multiverse on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble today.